Hey there, this is a quick introduction to using jobs, and I'm going to keep this as brief as possible to get a new user up and running with a minimum of fuss. I'm going to assume that you have an IT support division that has installed FileMaker on your computer and that you're able to access the server where your version of jobs resides. And that when you open up the program, you see the home screen. If you're a manager, you'll see the manager home. If you're a sales rep, you'll see home, just says home. And this is a dashboard view of your world as a print rep. You've got jobs that are modified today in this corner. You've got jobs that are in the estimating department in that corner. You've got jobs that are pending that you've quoted over here, and you've got jobs that you've sold and are working over here. And then you've got at the bottom section, you've got contacts, scheduled contacts, people you should contact today, and so forth. So this is the home screen that you should get used to. It's easy to come here, just pull down go to home from someplace else, and you can come back here and get yourself oriented. There are three basic tabs in jobs. The jobs with an S, the location of all your actual work product, specifications, the pricing. This is where you generate proposals and order entries and all that. Then there's an address tab, which is all about people. Plus there's a memos tab, which is kind of a catch-all of correspondence of various types. So you can flip from one to the other, but they're also connected in other ways, but this is the basic structure. You got three databases. Now you've also got a button over here that says You, and a new user needs to begin by visiting the You screen and configuring your defaults. A default is something that happens unless you do something else. So if you set a default, for example, on your coworkers of this is their name and this is their email address, that means that when you create a job and you go to send it in as an order, it'll go to your CSR planner that you name here, and it'll look up the email address of that person. That's a default. In most cases, you can change that on a single job. You can say, oh, this one needs to go to a different office, a different estimator. But this is what you do is you change the coworkers that you want as a default. You set them here, and then you can change them on a job by job basis later on. The other things that are important here are having your email address in the email sending field. Most of the time, we're going to be using the system client on the email. You've got your name, of course, and the company that you represent. In some cases, it might be more than one company that you have sister companies that you represent. So those names would appear there, and you can choose the one you primarily represent, your default. You have a block that appears in your letterhead that is yours alone. So you can put your personal cell phone number and email address in this field that appears on your letterhead. There's a limit of 5 lines. That's all that will fit. And you have a return address, which appears on if you print envelopes or labels and so forth. You can also have your own home address. There's some documents you can print out just to like write a memo to your babysitter or whatever. You've got a work type default, which is important to get to suit you. The work types are, in many cases, they'll show you a different set of screens as you go through. So you want to get that right, that if you're doing a wide format work, you want to have that job be set to wide format. So if you do mostly wide format, occasional commercial job, then set it as wide format for your default, but on a job by job basis, if you need to, you can set it as commercial. FOB point, FOB origin is the safest, of course, and I recommend starting there. You have a sales region and sales office, which hopefully are set realistically in your case. Sales region is most important for rolling up sales reports. The sales manager in the Southern California region here would get a report that included your sales. So that's kind of interesting for that person. That's a primary reason for the sales region. Sales office, less important, but helps keep everybody organized. Plant, you might have a plant drop down list. You can choose your default plant that you sell into most of the time. And a zoom, which if you have a nice big monitor like I do here, I can set it at 200 zoom and it looks just great. If you have a little laptop, you might want to try 150. Now you will have to restart everything to affect that change. There's a couple other things here. There's a save folder. Now you might need some IT support on this unless you're a whiz. But basically, this is the path, a folder path to a folder that FileMaker and Jobs will use to save PDFs into. You can click the help button and see exactly how to do that. For example, I have a shortcut over on my desktop, and this is where all my files will be as I send them out. This is a request for estimate for a customer, and you can use the basic or operating system organization to view these. You can view them as in a list sorted by date and that kind of thing. So this is just a folder on your operating system. In this case, of course, it's a Macintosh. Works in Windows pretty much the same way. And what you get is you have to get this right one time, and then you never really need to print stuff out, because if you automatically email a proposal and you have this set correctly, if you ever needed to refer to a hard copy of that, it would be over here in this folder for you to find later on. Another thing you can do while you're here is down in the bottom of this email screen where you have coworkers on one tab, email here, is you can change your jobs password and you can set up automatic login. I'll have you refer to a data sheet on how to do that, but basically when you turn on FileMaker, it'll automatically log you in to this system if you have this set correctly. Another thing that you want to do is make sure you have a signature. This will appear at the bottom of your correspondence, and you can have a fancy version with a photo or whatever you want. It's pretty simple. Just make a JPEG to the size indicated down below, and then insert picture into that field. You want like a nice cropped white background JPEG to this size, and you're going to be good. Email signature is when you do create a proposal email out of jobs, you can have this appended as the signature automatically, and you can type whatever you want in there. It's plain text only. If you want to send a fancier signature on your emails, all you do is once the email is created, choose from your email signatures which one you want to use. There's a couple other things here. Default proposal note. Some companies need something put on the proposal that is some kind of special claim. In addition to the terms and conditions, you can put that in there. And a remittance address. This is the billing address of your company for draft invoices that you might send out. Or provide to the accounting department in most cases. Anyway, so that's the personalization screen quickly, and all you have to do at this point is click done, and we are off to visiting the address database. Now, in all cases, you'll have at the top of the screen a go-to, and you notice there's home. Go to home. Boom, I'm at the home screen. I can go to address by pulling down and got address and memos right down here, right? That's another way of getting there. So the go-to is an important navigation tool. You can go to specifications, you can go to the quote screen, you can go to different menus. So go-to is a real primary navigation tool. If I'm over in the address module, my go-to will include things like the output menu or the shark list. Let's start there. The shark list is a collection of everybody's accounts that everybody can see. It doesn't display a lot of information, just the company name. And if I click on display refresh list, I will get a list that shows, for example, that the company 24/7, there's a person with the initials of GF who's the prospect. That's the category. And the sales rep on that is Jimmy Buffett. So Jimmy Buffett essentially owns the company 24/7, and nobody should go calling on them without checking with Jimmy Buffett first, or the sales manager, or whatever. But this is just a way of staking out that you own this account and you don't go trespassing. I won't go trespassing on your accounts. You don't go trespassing on mine. And this is a scrollable list that's alphabetically sorted, and it'll show all of the companies that are in here with one provision. That is, it has to be an account or a prospect. There are many categories you can have in your contact database. Any one person can be a prospect, or can be an account, or can be a supplier, or an associate, or a moot, nothing at all. Can be your personal, your hairdresser, whatever. But what you want to do is prevent other people from calling on your accounts. Therefore, make them in the category of prospect or account, and they'll show up on this list. Now you can also, and by the way, the rules are right here on this tab, that how it works basically. It's an honor system that before you go calling on somebody, you check the shark list. Now you can also do a search. You can type in the company name, say one part of the company's name, and click search, and you will see that there's a company in here called, well, there's one called Direct Impact Solutions. That's a prospect owned by Jim Taylor. And there's Direct Edge, which is account. This is slightly out of date at the moment, perhaps, and there's some blanks. These are people that might have the word direct in their company name, but they're not accounts or prospects. So that would explain the blanks. And here's our display refresh list, and we start off with, sometimes you'll get some empty ones at the top of the list that don't have like a company name or whatever, but they're accidentally marked as account. Well, that's fine. Scroll down alphabetically, or do a search and put in a company name or a prospect's name. Won't do you much good, because all you'll see is their initials in the end, but that's the way it works. Now we're done with looking at the shark list. Remember, to get there, you just say, go to shark list. Well, let's look at somebody in this list. Now, the view that I'm looking at is the automatic view of the address database with people listed on the screen showing that they have a contact coming up in the future. Now, you can see that there's a field called Next Contact. And in this one here at Paul Baker Printing is in red. That means my next contact that I had scheduled for him is in the past. So it's reminding me by color that, you forgot. Here's another one, Chris Chase, another one in the past. But then we get into today, which is blue. And we got all these people at this company for a training session. And then we get into further down the list, we have other people coming up, follow-ups and whatnot. So this is a default view of the address screen. It also appears basically on your home screen. You'll see this down at the bottom, the same view. And if you click on one of these from any of those, either of those locations, you can then go and visit that person. So let's just pick a contact here. Boom, that one. And it takes me to an input screen. And we'll spend a few minutes here on this input screen looking at all the fields and what you can do with it. But I want you to get a little sense of the navigation and how we can get here and how we can get away from it. First of all, remember go to. I can just say, go to back. And what that'll take me to is back to the address menu. And there's this button here that says Barbara Seville Operatica. Well, that's the name of the person we were just looking at. And if I click on that button, this is showing me that if I want to look at a list view, there's the list view, and there's Barbara. And it's next to the go to pull down. We're looking now at the list view. and we're on record 70, number 7 of 71. And if I click that, it'll take me back to where I just was. So keep in mind that you got the go to, and you have this record number of records, and you can go back and forth by toggling it. So let's pick again. Let's go down the list here and pick Richard Head, for example. Now, Richard, if I want to go back to the list view of all the people that I was just looking at, I just click on that. It'll take me right back there, back and forth, toggle. Now, what do we got here? We got a title, an honorific, if you like, it's optional, department, parent company, sometimes that's pretty important, street address, including suite number and so forth, and a drop-down list of cities. This will be composed of cities that are actually in your database. So if you're in the Northern California region, you might not see San Bernardino and San Clemente, but plenty of San Anselmos and so on. And when you get a drop-down list, you can either choose something from that or type in your own thing. Like you could type in anything you want here, and it's a city. Now, you can also get the list back by hitting the escape key. So the escape key pops up, and you can start typing something like San, and it'll find the first instance of it. And then you can say, oh, it's a San Jose. There we go. And you get the California, you get the zip code. There's enough room to put the zip +4 and the email address. Now, it's important, of course, to have an email address for a person in your database that you communicate with, because then you don't have to type their email address every time. Or you just say, boom, send a quote, and it goes to this address. There's a couple other things here that are, while we're on this section, there's a compass rose. That means show me the map location of this, and then go back to the input. And so it's just a little, look up to the address using Google Maps. You can use this little icon here, the envelope, to send an email to this person. I will show you that in a minute. We got office and fax and cell and whatever you want. And you can make up your own label here. You can say, that's the office number 2, and you type a phone number in there. And let's see what else we got here. Website, customer number. Now, customer number will help tie this program together with your accounting software. So you turn in an order, it goes through the order processing process in your company. And if you've taken the trouble to put in the customer number one time, then every time you turn in an order, the order entry department can easily see, oh, this customer, and so the accounting software works. Where'd you get the lead? You can type anything you want. You can choose a drop down. You can give somebody's name. You can put whatever you want. Just you want to remember where you got the lead from. And what is their what is their birthday? Now, it doesn't have to have a year in there, but it'll remind you by a little icon popping up that you have a birthday for this person. You're saying, yeah, so you might want to call them up and wish them a happy birthday. There's a section below where you can paste just general notes about this contact, and it's a scrolling field, so you can put a huge amount of notes just by putting more in at the top, and it'll force the notes down at the bottom. And there's also links here to a jobs that you might write up for them. And let's go over to so now over on the right hand side, we're going to shift focus here real quick. We were here on the notes, and I showed you the jobs tab, but I want to show you somebody that I actually write up jobs for. So at Database Testing Incorporated, there's other people, right? Well, over on the far right side over here, you can see this is Richard Head's coworkers. You got Joe Blow, Dawn Breaks, and so forth. And one of these guys is Rich Text. So you just click on Rich Text, And now you'll see what I mean when I say jobs. So, maybe Richard Head is just one of the minor people at the place, but you don't actually send quotes to him or whatever, but you just want to keep his information there. Okay, well, Rich Text is your main guy, and you want to make sure you've got everything nailed for him. And in this tab are all his jobs that you've ever written up for this Rich Text at Database Testing with you as the sales rep. So you can look at these by title, sorted here. See how it goes: arrow, then binding, then coast, or by date. So this is a quick way to see the linkage between the people and the actual work that you process when you're doing requests for estimate and proposals and order entries and so forth. So it's an easy way to start a new job. Is all you have to do is click this new job button, and it'll go over to that database and create a new job, boom, with him as the sales contact and the invoice contact, although that you can change it. You can say, well, no, the invoice contact here is accounts payable, right? And it looks up the customer number and the terms. You can set the terms also at this point for this person, this accounts payable department. You can change it here, and it'll therefore be forever changed whenever you write up a job for this person. All right, so this is the very first screen of a job, but we're going to go back to where we were. We don't want to finish writing up a job yet. I want to finish talking to you about the contact screen. So you'll notice there's these two little Rolodex cards up here. This is the sales contact. This is if you wanted to create a new person. But let's go back to this person. Let's give this a job title. Let's call this Alpha, Beta, Delta. Oops. Okay. And well, we don't need a description. Let's just now go back to the sales contact by clicking this little Rolodex thing. And what we got is, now we've got down here, you can see we've got Alpha, Beta, Delta, the job, and that's the invoice date for it, the anticipated invoice date. We'll get into that later. So what we have now is, we know that there are jobs, and you can look at them in different order, alphabetical or by date. And there are phone numbers and all that good stuff right above it. And there's other things, we'll get into it later, but notes field is the most important. Let's quickly touch on delivery. When you write up a delivery address later on, it'll look up, if you specify that Rich is the receiver of the shipment, maybe the 100 samples go to Rich, it will look this up and put it into the order to the shipping department. So if they have required hours of receiving or maximum carton weights or any kind of special circumstance that is associated with shipping and associated with Rich, put it in there and you never have to type it again. Now, I want to finish going through a little contact management here. We'll, in another session, we'll actually write up that job we started. But the primary tab on the right-hand side of the screen here is contacts. And you'll see that it has a button that says today. So we're going to say today. And you're going to get today as the last contact date. So the last time I talked to this guy is today. And we had a good conversation, or we exchanged email or whatever, any of those things, or something that you want to put in. And now there's a little drop down here. You can choose. You can say it was, let's say we exchanged email and he's going to let us quote. And what happened was, when we did that, it did a couple of things. One is, it took you to the date field for your next contact. When do you want to contact them? And it put that last contact information, this on 3/31, we exchanged email and he's going to let us quote. It put that down here in the contact history. So this contact history will build up over time. And every time you send him a proposal, or every time you specifically say that I made contact and we did this, it will get added to that ongoing list, and it just goes on forever. Now, the section down below the last contact is next contact. So you can say, I want a member to call this person back in a month. And it'll pick a date a month hence, and it will allow you to choose what you're going to do. You're going to follow up. You're going to check in, whatever you want to do, and make some kind of note like, oh yeah, he mentioned something about, wide format or whatever, anything you want, just type it in there. Then when that comes around, that date comes around, you'll see it in the list of somebody to contact today or somebody in the near future to come up, right? So that's the most important things about this input screen. Segments is also important. Sorry, let's talk about this. Remember, I said only accounts and prospects show up in the shark list. Accounts are people that you're actually selling to, and prospects are people that you're trying to sell to, right? And it's actually you're trying. You're not just putting it on your list for a rainy day. You're actually trying to call them and get some business. Suspect is somebody you're thinking about calling on. And everybody has a lot of those people. You see a truck driving down the street, you go, oh, let me put those in there. Well, you put it in there as suspect and nobody else will see it, which might suit you just fine. But it's not protected. Okay, so if you really want to protect it, you got to call it a prospect or an account. And honestly, it's not a prospect if you're not doing something to actually try to sell printing to them. You've also got other categories here that are very important. Delivery address, suppliers. These will pop up according to different rules over in other areas of the program. Personal, associate, these things, you can do anything you want with these. But if you want to protect it, call it an account or a prospect. Keep it private to yourself from the other sales staff, call it a suspect or whatever, and you're good. Now, we also have verticals. This would be set up when we originally worked with your company. The kinds of marketplace that you want to call into. You guys do a lot of agency work, or you do work with the entertainment industry. Those are your choices of these values, and these can always be changed by your management team. So if you have a category you want, you can just choose other vertical, or you can go to your sales manager and say, would you put pharmaceuticals in the drop down list of verticals, because that's an important market for us, and we should be calling on, and separating out people who buy pharmaceutical printing or whatever. These are some of my own categories of print management and so forth and so on. So these are configurable for your company. If you don't have what you need there, talk to your sales manager. I can help the sales manager. We also have territories, not a required field by any means, but sometimes that's handy. What kind of manufacturer type? Financial industry, so this is tech. You might say it's a tech company, and it's an IT consulting firm, right? So you're building up a profile of this company. They're in the Bay Area. They're a prospect. They're tech, but they're in the consulting area of tech. You're building up a prospect here. And you can find this company later on using these, and you can find easily all the companies that you have in the category of tech that are in the Bay Area, whatever, that kind of thing. In fact, we get down into it in even greater detail down below, because, well, you can throw them on a frequent list, and there's a little list you can print out and keep handy, or put them on the annual greeting card list. Just make it easy for the marketing person to put together the annual greeting card mailing by checking that box. And all that, your marketing associate, all they have to do is come in and say, well, find everybody that is on the greeting card list. All the sales reps mark their own contacts, greeting card list, and boom, there's, that's it. That's all you have to do. Now, we also have a thing called segments, and this is one where you can pick multiple things. For example, here you can only pick one category. Somebody's either a prospect or an account or whatever. But down here, you can have all kinds of different things checked. So the more information you put in here, the more information you can get out of it later on when you need to find some people who buy digital print with variable data. So let's do that. Let's show you what I mean by that. Let's say let's use the find pull down. Okay, so you'll see the find to pull down all over the place. It's on every screen, as well as new and organized. These are common throughout the whole thing. Let's find everybody who's and we get a find screen. This is where we put in the criteria. There are some fine points to this. You can do all kinds of interesting combination finds and so forth. But for now, let's just say somebody that does uh, digital print. That's all we're interested in. We just want to find everybody who does digital print. I click continue. I've got 49 people. See how I'm on record 1 of 49? And if I scroll using these little arrows, I go down through that list of found people and it highlights them in turn. So I'm now on record 11 of 49. And if I click on, say, this one down here, 11 by 17, Penny Lane, let's look at that. How did we get here? Well, we had her printed, segmented to digital print. So now I can do something with these. I can take these 49 people and I can go to the output menu and I can export the data. I can export those 49 contacts as an Excel file. I can print it as a list. I can just say, here's our digital print customers, boss, and click continue. And I get a nice list of showing all these customers. I can print that out as a PDF or I can cancel, go back. I can do my own merge mail. I can write them all a message and send them a merge mail. Boom, every one of them that has an email address will get the email that I say right here. Or I can just, like, the easiest way is to export it as an Excel file and have a Constant Contact or one of those companies manage the actual mailing process, but you can do your own. And you can also, if we go back to the menu to get ourselves organized here, we can click on go to, and we can go back to the output menu, and we can look at you can print labels, you can print calendars, you can export that data out to Excel spreadsheet, and there's some other miscellaneous stuff here. And there's these reports where you can print them out. And that's all happening because I took the trouble to go through and now you notice here, let's just, I've got this list of 11 by 17. They're in that digital print thing, but these are just delivery destinations. Let's show you how to refine that search a little bit more and say, let's find a person who does the digital print and is in the category of prospect. And I click continue. All right, now I've got 10 people that are legitimately prospects, not just delivery destinations. And if I go to the output menu, or I can print this list, or I can export the data, or I can copy all the emails into a text field, and I can, copy names and emails. So once you get all these people in the database, there's lots of things you can do with them, including, remember, the most important thing, basically what we're all here for, is write up a job for them. And that is, boom, click the new job button on the jobs tab, and you're off to creating a new job for this person. And you go through the fields like I showed you already, choose your accounts payable department, for example, or the person that gets the invoice, and then start putting in the specifications. And we'll go through the process of writing up a job in our very next session. But you now have a pretty good, I think, overview of the address database contact management screen that is available as part of the solution of writing up work for people. So you got jobs, you got people, and they're connected together. And see you at the next session where we talk about actually writing up jobs. That's enough for today. Thank you very much.